Welcome to Virgin Atlantic's retreat suites aboard the A330-900neo. You can see these are the best seats on the plane. The first row right in the middle. We're going to go through the entire process. We're going to show you how you check in a private upper class terminal, the lounge, the doors on the seat. We're going to go through dining, all of the amenities. And at the very end, I'm going to show you how you can book it using these award calendars and to make sure that you're getting the right plane. Now, it does cost a little bit extra to reserve these retreat suites. You don't get anything special that anybody else does aside from the seat itself. So you can make that determination when we get to the end of the review. If you're arriving at Heathrow, you want to tell your driver to go off to the left when you're arriving at Terminal 2 or 3. And there's a private check-in. Don't miss this because it is really cool. Gate comes up, you arrive at what looks like a 4 or 5 star hotel, and you get greeted.
Here we go.
And they walk you in, they help you with your bags, and they escort you straight back to where there is a private security. This makes it so much easier. I mean, you basically fly through security like that. When you emerge after security, you just look for the signs, look for the Virgin Atlantic Clubhouse. Now, if you've never been, it's actually upstairs. It's kind of like, this elevator is kind of like the old Virgin upper class.
Everyone that comes to you.
You face out. Everyone that comes to you can see you. It's kind of like this elevator. This is the Virgin Atlantic Clubhouse. It's like a 60s vibe. It's kind of retro in style. And one of the cool things is that you either can eat from a buffet, which you can see right here, or you can order from a menu. You just scan a QR code at the table, and then the entire Virgin Atlantic menu is right there. And you just order it. They bring it to your table, whatever you want, and it changes throughout the day, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Here we are in the Virgin Clubhouse at Heathrow having what? Some masala. We'll see how it compares.
It was delicious. We actually had to board. They took us out to the plane, so we actually went up the stairs here. And here you can see this is actually while we were on the plane itself. We were actually in the air when I popped up to take a cabin. There's 8 rows. Every single seat has a door. It's phenomenal. I've flown it both as retreat suites and in just the normal A330-900neo. By far, this is the best plane that Virgin Atlantic has. Let's sit down and do a little bit of a seat tour because it is amazing how much space you get. Look at the size of the IFE. Huge when you compare it to my hand. You get a buddy seat. I can slide my backpack underneath the buddy seat. Here's one big storage bin. Let's close it up. And I'm also going to show you how much stuff I can actually pack into it. This is unprecedented. I'm not sure that I have sat at a seat that has this much in-seat storage. That is a MacBook Pro, the big one. And look at how easy it just slides down in there. And I've got another DOP kit. I've got my power cords. I've got all sorts of stuff. I mean, that is really phenomenal. And then you can see that white one there, that also pops up. Absolutely tremendous. I mean, look at how much, if you're traveling with a family, especially if you had some small kids, to have one of those to put all of their little bips and bops in there, unbelievable. Here you can see me just loading it up. I love storage, so I'm kind of going over this more than I would ordinarily, but you can see how much stuff I am actually packing in. The seat is really long, so let's take a look at how you would control the IFE. Ordinarily, you just touch the screen, right? But you actually have to unbuckle and go all the way to the end of the seat to touch it. So I use the remote far more than I've ever used a remote on any other seat because normally they're kind of wonky. This one works pretty well. You can see that they have the international power ports. You've got the USB-C, the normal USB, and you have a wireless charging for your phone. It kind of worked fine. Ordinarily, these things on planes are just not really working that great, and this one worked fine. The seating controls, super straightforward. You have another little cubby here that comes with water and your headphones. I typically use this for stuff that I'm going to need to access during the flight versus if it was in the overhead or on the retreat suite in those big storage bins down by your feet. So you can put your wallet in there if you have some other power cords or whatever. Let's take a look at the amenities. So it's a goodie bag. This is all recycled materials. So the bag itself is made out of recycled materials. The pen, all that stuff is recycled materials. Let's take a look at dining. Of course, when you sit down, they're going to give you juice or champagne or sparkling wine. Have a quick look at the menu. Virgin, very good on food. I wouldn't go so far as to say that it's as good as JetBlue. JetBlue, I think, is the best business class food. It's up there. I don't know that it's up there with like Qatar, which has the Dine on Demand, and Emirates, but it is very, very good. All right, a little moist towelette. Let's pop the PJs on. You need to request these. They're not going to give them to you on a day flight. Ordinarily, they have extras. I wanted to show you what they look like. They're super comfortable, but the pants don't have pockets, so keep that in mind. You can see here, look how far away I am. So I'm clearly using the remote because it's just a deep, long seat. Then here you can see how I actually removed, or I lowered the center partition all the way down, which means this suite is even bigger than it felt before because the wall that separates between the two TVs are gone. Here's the first course on our dining. Again, super cool that Elizabeth can just pop over and dine with me. And then here we're highlighting the little salt and pepper shakers. How cool is that? We're going to do like a little a trick for TikTok, you know, where you snap and it pops to another video. Super cool. We always, not always, but a lot of the time we take those home with us. Shh, don't tell Virgin Atlantic. Little salting. It was very, very good. The food, cannot complain all the way around. This was a chicken with a little bit of sauce on top. It was really good. Elizabeth got that as well. For plain food, can't go wrong with Virgin Atlantic. It's up there. It's up to, much better than any of the American carriers except for JetBlue. So we'll put that out there. So I was joking around with my wife that mine kind of looked like a piece of poop, but it tasted delicious. And my wife's was very good as well. She was pouring some cream on top. And then we had a nice little giggle about the whole thing. Anyways, let's get straight into that bed because it's one of the most important parts of business class. Can you get a good night's sleep so you can hit the ground running the next day? We're on a day flight, so we didn't exactly do that. Now, you can request that a member of the staff come over and help you make up your bed. But I just said, you know what, I can just do that myself. I feel a little bit pretentious asking for it. Plus, you can just get it done a little bit faster. I put it on upside down accidentally. You want to look to see where the seatbelt slots are so the seatbelts can come through. You get a mattress pad, you get another sheet, and then they give you a nice big pillow, slide the door shut. It's very private. Even though the seat's kind of right on the aisle, the fact that it's so big, I mean, it's very, very private. You do feel as though you're in like your little, you're in your little pod, and you're down kind of lower too, so the walls of the seat come up. Now, I am about 170 pounds, 165, 170 pounds, and I'm 6 feet tall. Now, my shoulders in this seat, it's a little bit on the narrower side if you're comparing it to a lot of first class products, but it's still pretty roomy for business class. You can see this is the angle that your bed is going to have. So the TV does not tilt or anything. So you're kind of like looking at it at a little bit of a different angle because you're so low. And then you can see I had plenty of space above my head there, plenty of space. And then for the feet, I mean, I had plenty of room as well. And here I'm showing you so far from the top of where your pod is, you feel very, very private. And you can see right next to you, you don't have to go all the way up to those other seating controls. You got the seating controls right next to you. So you want to turn on your lights, you want to put the seat up a little bit, call for some help from a flight attendant, boom, it's all right there. And you can even snake your power cord down there. Now, about half hour into this, they came by and said, hey, you guys want a snack? So I got a little passion fruit sorbet. It was very good and refreshing. So the flight is about over. We've got about 30 minutes left, so it's time to reflect. Is it worth upgrading to the retreat suite? Now, it is phenomenal. I think on a day flight, it's worth it far more than on a night flight because you're probably going to be asleep. So if you need that extra space to work, but just so you see the difference, here is what the normal A330neo looks like in the last row. So my wife and I have taken this flight as well, and you still have a lot of space, a lot of privacy. And for reference, here is seat 1K. So you have the information. Would you spend the extra money or not? So we just did the retreat suites. Very nice. Cool for a couple. Now we're off to global entry. If you're interested in figuring out how to fly this plane and find the award space, the first place you want to go is a website called Flight Connections. And here I'm logged into my account. You go to airlines, you click on Virgin Atlantic, and then you go over to aircraft. But first, I'm just going to show you the entire route map. So even if you don't have a professional account like I do, you're going to be able to see the entire route map. And you can just click on each individual route, but you can also go to aircraft and just select A330-900neo. And as you can see here, these are all of the routes that feature that plane that I just showed you. This is the very best Virgin Atlantic plane. And if you're going to spend the taxes and fees, which have come down significantly, you want to be on this plane. Second, I would say the A350-1000. And then everything other than that really is those old, sort of, they call them the coffin class. So this is how I go about finding where this plane is flying. It's a fantastically valuable resource. Once you know the routes that it's flying, you want to go over to Virgin Atlantic, and this is how I search to find the dates that it's going to be the cheapest. If you go up there to Flying Club and you click on Reward Seat Checker, you can actually search the entire Virgin calendar between specific cities. So I always look between Manchester and Atlanta because I live in Atlanta and my wife's family is in the north of England, but I also look and go in and out of London a lot. But let's just look right now. This is March and you can see the entire calendar. Now everything that is flagged with red is going to be the cheapest seats. Now look at how cheap those are. In upper class, 29,000 points. And there are a lot of them. You can go from month to month, and you can see that some months are going to be much better deals than others, but you can go through the entire calendar. It's a really valuable resource. I do want to show you something. So even though that plane is operating on that route, let's look at another route that the plane is operating on, which is London to New York. We have a day here which shows 29,000 points. You think, well, hey, great deal, except that one is operating the A350-1000. So you need to scroll through and make sure if more than one flight per day is operating on your route, and even day to day. Sometimes one day will be one plane and another day will be a different plane. You want to go and check to make sure, if you're wanting to fly these retreat suites and you're wanting to fly this nicest plane that Virgin has, you want to make sure that you're booking the cheapest seats and you're also getting the plane that you want, right? Because you've done all this work. And you can see on this one, it's like, well, hey, the A330-900neo is actually on a different flight than what is the cheapest. Using points and miles can be highly advantageous if you know how to use them right. That's what I specialize on this channel, and if you can like, subscribe, or you can find us on TikTok, Instagram. I've got a newsletter and a website, monkeymiles.com. But my goal is to teach you how to use those points and miles right to keep your credit strong. And if that's the type of stuff that you're into, make sure you follow along. Have a great day.